Okay, testing 1 2 1 2. Let me know if you can hear the mic, folks, please. Let me know if you can hear the mic. Testing 1 2 1 2. Anybody out there? Okay, mic sounds all right. Nothing crazy, because I'm doing something new. Okay. All right, so I'm streaming live on YouTube. If anybody wants to check out the stream and give me some feedback, if it just sounds and looks okay, that'd be great. If not, don't worry about it. Why am I getting a warning? The stream should be fine. Okay, I'm going to just act like everything is normal. Let's get the recording going. So I would think that I don't have to use my Snagit anymore. If I'm streaming, it's probably recording. So I got to figure that out. But I will use it today until I figure it out. Okay, everybody, welcome to the Pro Trade Room Plus, the API report. My name is Lee Goldstein, Trading Director at 10 Minute Trades. Please remember all the trades we discuss for educational purposes. Trade carefully, please. All right, so see if you can still see it. Yeah, if I put it over there, it's out of the way. Okay, everybody can see the charts and hear me. Like I said, we are now going to do a lot more streaming on YouTube. As long as it doesn't ruin my fills because of the resources, it's a lot of resources. I do have a very, very, very fast computer. But I don't want it ruining my trades. So we'll keep an eye on our fills. All right, API. Not our #1 most popular event, that's for sure. However, API has had 3 winners in a row. So it creates this wacky situation called a reverse probability trade. Now, I know that doesn't make sense to most of you, but so in the past, there's an anecdotal setup called the probability trade, and it really works actually not too badly. I mean, it's really not a disastrous methodology. So the idea behind the reverse probability trade is if you have an event that you've been trading for years, and overall it's a good event. I mean, that's part of the key, is that overall it has to be an event that gives you some profits. Then if it's behaving very poorly, it can qualify as a probability trade. So for instance, if you have the oil report, the weekly Wednesday oil report, and it's got 3 or 4 losers in a row, that's a probability trade that it's going to be profitable, because we've been trading that report for 7 years, 10 years since the company's been open, and it's a probability that you're going to have a winning trade, that the DMM's going to work. So today, though, we have a reverse probability trade. That's the problem for today. We have a report. Let me show you what I'm talking about. I'm not crazy, but this is a little bit off the wall. But we do have a reverse probability. And it's being caused by the issue of the API report having 3 winners in a row. It's absolutely due for a loser. It hardly ever had 4 winners in a row the whole year. Maybe, if I looked at every single DMM, every trade report, I might be able to find maybe one situation where it had 4 winners in a row. I mean, right now I'm just going to pull up a random DMI on API just for fun. Let me pull up a few random DMIs on the API report from last year. Not from 100 years ago, obviously. I'll pull up a couple of random DMIs. We'll look at them. And I'll show you that I'm not nuts. I'm semi-nuts. All right, here's a bunch of random DMMs. Did I say DMI? My brain's about done. So, so what do we pull up? What do we pull up? Come on, this is not hilarious. 2021. Now that's a little bit too far away, but 6 winners in a row. People. You gotta laugh. That's pretty funny. 6 winners in a row. All right, but that's 2021. I'm not counting that. We're not going back quite that far. So I pulled up, some of these are just too old. 2020. 2020, it was a 50-50, but you only had 2 winners in a row. If we go back to another 21, and let's see what was happening there. That's hilarious. Okay, we go March and April. We don't have anything but 1 winner in a row. Okay? I think overall my concept is correct. If we go to January of this year, API, the most it had was 2 winners in a row. Okay? And then if we go into 2023, which I'm much more interested in, because that's more current, 1 winner in a row. And let me pull up another. Today's, we've got our 3. And let me just pull up a couple more, because I think this is important. Even though it seems a bit silly, it's not. We don't trade Fibonacci or Elliott waves as much as we trade how did the event behave. I mean, that's the way we trade. Much more than, using indicators or things of that nature. It's totally different the way that we trade compared to most other companies. So we have to use the analysis that makes sense for the way that we're doing it. So let's pull up an October, a September, and an August. 3 more. And we'll take a look at what's happening. And okay, that was not the right oil report. My apologies. That was Wednesday. That's fine. I hope I didn't pull all the wrong ones on this. Huh. Why did they come up as API? But they did. All right, this is API in October. 2 winners in a row. All right. A little bit different time frame in October. Maybe it'll wrap around that other couple of winners. And that one is not API. That's weird. Why they came up. That's not going to come up. Let me just try 2 more and then we'll go into the setup. I know what I did. Okay. I forgot to do the sort properly, so let's go into, I don't want to go into 21. We want more recent. All right, so we got a September, an August, a July, and a June. This is a good final check. So we got June. I know you think it's a waste of time, but it isn't. 2 winners in a row is the max. That's the norm. 1 winner in a row, 3 losers in a row, cancels in a row. That's a probability trade. Take that one long the next week. One more API, 2 in a row in August. That's the best it got. So you could see the point here. We don't need to look at it anymore. We don't have any. You got to go back to 2021. Other than last week, week before, and the week before, there are no 3 winners in a row. I'm not trading the range live today. I'm waiting to see what happens today. And I want to start trading the report live, but I don't want to start trading it with a loss. And almost everybody made a few dollars today. Almost everybody made a few dollars yesterday. So we'll continue our chugging along this week, making a few dollars, waiting for the best of the best. This is not a best of the best. Just because it had 3 winners does not automatically make it a best of the best. So you got it. I'm trading it as a reverse probability. And I'm serious. I'm not joking. I'm very serious about it. It doesn't have 4 winners in a row, other than back into, I'm telling you, you got to go way back. Starting the trade at 1629.58, starting the range. 4 ticks above the range and 4 ticks below the range. I'm going to show the graphics on the chart. I'm going to end the range at 1630.02. And we've got 2 positions. First target is 7 ticks. The second target is 19 ticks. And the stop is 13. And I would be willing to trade 2 contracts on it, trade the DMM exactly when I start trading it. Four ticks above, 4 ticks below, starting the range at 1629.58, ending it at 1630.02. Targets of 7 and 19. Label it the range. It's probably appropriate on this report to use the target 1 stop move, because this report can chop quite a bit. Break even minus -2 or 3. All right. API, today's date. The reason I'm saving all these new templates is there's one frustrating feature that's not a feature of the new software. Old templates are not compatible because we made so many changes, and we tried, I've said this a million times, we tried so hard to get the templates to be able to load in the old ones. We can't. Just can't get them working. So I'm saving lots of templates. So we have a range trade that's ready to go. I'm also going to set up with micros the after the news trade. And we need to get a Buellnox account so that we could trade. Top Step you can't trade this time of day, unfortunately, but some of the other prop accounts you can. So we're going to do an after the news trade. So the API report, just to go over like we do all the time, the API report is a private report for the first 5 minutes of the event. People buy the strategy, the results of the strategy, and for 5 minutes they are privy to that information, and it doesn't become public until 4:35 p.m. Eastern Time. So subscribers get the data 5 minutes early. We know for a fact that the market almost always responds to the news around 4:30. You don't have to wait 5 minutes, but the calendar companies, they scramble to get the news from public places because they don't subscribe to the data, obviously, or they would get the news. And we trade a second news event on the API report based on the forecast of the news. Okay, and I want to say hello. There are people watching on YouTube. Thank you for watching us. Let us know if the stream sounds and looks okay, if you would. So we have a situation where subscribers get data, the calendars are going to announce the news, but today there's not a forecast. Usually we trade this based on a forecast. I used two calendars to help me with this report. We use investing.com, which is right over here. Investing.com does get news results in real time most of the time. They're very good about it. And they get the API news almost the same time that Financial Juice Pro gets it. What's nice about Financial Juice Pro is they get the news, but they have a streaming Squawk Box, so I hear it in my headset, which is awesome. All right? So I don't have to be looking at charts. It just makes it easier. I could be yakking away, which I'm always doing in here, and I still will get the news so I can be ready to trade that after the news report, the response. So we have our range trade set up. That's separate from our after the news trade, which is based on the forecast. Sometimes there is no forecast. However, because we're so experienced trading this report, we generally know that if there's a very large build, that we can still take a trade to the short side if appropriate, or if there's a very large drawdown, we can take a trade to the upside if appropriate, even if there's no forecast. It's easier if there's a forecast, okay? So, depending on what your risk tolerance is, right now today, I'm going to trade the after the news as a reversal. And I'm going to use micros on it, so I'll trade 2 contracts on each. Sorry, 1 contract on each and a target of 8 ticks on target 1, 15 ticks on target 2, and I'll do a stop of 15 ticks. And I will take that reversal based on what the news result is. And both of these trades are set up in our cash account right now. So we'll call this one after the news. And we're up a couple of bucks today. We made 188 on United Health. We gave back like $31 on Johnson & Johnson. I didn't really trade that well, to be honest. I think I could have done better on that trade. Just a little bit better on my entry. Maybe if we had used a slightly bigger bracket, we could have prevented the fill in the wrong direction. But it did kind of chop on Johnson & Johnson. And we've learned a good lesson, I think, that probably should really know this lesson. United Health had great opportunity after the trade if you stayed longer. So we're going to be looking, earnings is just getting started. Literally today is the beginning of earnings season. There are so many events coming up. So we'll use what happened today in United Health to give us a good heads up about hanging around longer, I think, for some of the earnings trades. If you can manage your risk by taking those continuation or reversal trades. You could use micros if you want to really manage the risk. The key is to practice doing those trades over and over so you feel more comfortable taking them. That's the key with reversals and continuation trades. Definitely got to practice them over and over and over. Let's check our time sync by going to the website time.is. It checks our sync to make sure our computer's in sync. So let's look at last week on the API. I think there was no forecast either the week before last or last week. Usually, it's pretty rare that there is not a forecast. What do you all think of the red? The red color. It's a little too stark, isn't it? It needs a little something. I like it, but it needs a little bit of contrast somewhere. So last week, right at 4:30, the market knows the news more often than not. The news comes out, there's our range. The market knows the news 5 seconds right there. There was a little jolt down, not big enough to initially fill us. And if I remember correctly, I thought that it did start to move last week. Maybe it was dull. Let's watch for a minute. Okay, so that was pretty dull, but it became a winner, so let's watch. It became a winner. Did it take that long? Yeah, there we go. All right, so 30 seconds. It was almost 30 seconds after we entered. I'm looking to see if they still do not have a forecast today. There probably won't be a forecast, I'm guessing now. So it took a minute before the price started moving, but it did start moving. It did not follow through initially. Then it hit the first target. Then we protected our target, and it would have stopped out. And then we took that short to the downside, and it didn't follow through because I remember we were still there. It was 10 to 5. Nothing happened. It just didn't work. Last week didn't work on the after the news. The week before that, I think both of them worked faster. Keep in mind the oil market settles at 230. So what you're dealing with is a low volume, low liquidity, watching paint dry kind of trade. You have to have, it's a good trade to practice patience. There's the range, there's the orders. It's a very short range. There's going to be a pop. I was showing that we have the new range trade now button. If you're in a news trade like this and you think you want to put the orders on, you can use the range trade now button. But if your orders are already on, that's not gonna solve any problems, right? It's when it's drawing the range that you use the range trade now button. So this report's been moving very slow. It finally went up, but it took quite a few minutes. It went to test the high. All right, so, but the range did work. If you were in the range and stayed in the range, it hit your targets. And there was more of a drawdown than they expected, but not enough to move the price the way that it did, in my opinion. I was a little bit surprised by that move. So, we've checked our sync. We're basically being patient. We've got 6.5 minutes. Let's watch one more API trade. I do this at times. Let me pull an old one. It's fun to look at a real old API report. How about December of 2020? Charts look the same. That was the one we pulled up and it had 6 winners in a row. It's kind of funny. So this one has to be a loser. You can't have 7 winners in a row, right? You have the anti-probability trade. It's got to be a loser. Another winner. Maybe. A lot of slippage there. Or a little bit of slippage for sure. Did not hit the first target. The charts were very spread apart. The move was very good, though. We were only trading one contract. That's why it didn't hit our target, because it moved well beyond the 7-tick first target. So that particular month, for whatever reason, after 6 winners in a row, we decided to trade one contract. And we traded that one live. We were live back then. And then we trailed a little bit to try and get some profit out of it. It was up 10 ticks, 9 ticks. But that was a very nice period of movement, obviously, for the API report. That was in the middle of the pandemic, December 2020. So maybe we'll have an after the news report. And we'll have a report. Maybe we'll have an after the news move. But there is no forecast. And again, because of our knowledge about the report, when the market moves, when the news is released, we should have an inkling of what direction we may be going. It's not always going to work that way, but often, if there's a big burst, we have a good idea if there was a build or a drawdown. Now, today, I'm not expecting anything. I'm expecting a dull report. I'm expecting no fill or a fill and price sits. Doesn't mean we can't have 4 winners in a row and a good trade, okay? But the odds, the probabilities are on the side of a dull or canceled report trade. So we got about 3.5 minutes. And there's a few people watching YouTube. Anybody want to comment? Is it working okay? Does it look okay? Anyone want to tell us? How's it looking? Okay, what record album am I thinking of today? You ever hear of a band called World Party? Really good song. Great song called She's the One. Carl with a K, Wallinger. Passed away about a month ago. Everybody knows the song. If you play it, She's the One, you've heard it. So we're waiting. We have a few minutes until our range draws. Chantal, are you here? No. I feel like I'm all alone out here today. Anybody out there? I know you're out there somewhere. Anybody out there? ZLH? Derek? Okay. Giles, you're out there. Giles, I saw you this morning at the AI Auto Trader room. Hey, Steve. There. I'm guessing that's how you found us. So thanks to David K. Yeah, we're friends with those guys for sure. I like that Auto Trader. It's very interesting. All right, so we're waiting for that 4:30, and you'll see that we'll probably see a news move of some sort. It might be very subtle today after three winners in a row, or I could be proven wrong on the anti-probability trade, and it could be just a normal range trade. So one more minute. Then I'll wait until I hear the news result in my headset, and I'll tell it to everybody what the news result is, and we can make a decision if we're going to take a long or a short on the news. There is no forecast today. Makes it a tiny bit trickier without a forecast. Because if they're forecasting a build and the build is way bigger than the forecast, then we have a number to base our trade on and our reason for entering. Without a forecast, it's harder to have a reason to enter. It's a little bit easier to read the news if it's higher up. Okay, there's our range. There's our orders. The news is not out yet. The news is out. That's how subtle the move is. I believe the news is out. I believe that that was the news being released into the market. It only moved about 3 ticks. So now, if my thinking is right about the probability, it should just hang around here. I would cancel this range trade in about 45 more seconds or so. Because that really is a determining factor in the news being out. I could be wrong about the subtlety of the news move. That could be a mistake. And we have seen the API report trigger up to 2 minutes after the news is expected at 4:30. It's very unusual. It's almost always triggered by now. And the proper thing to really do is to cancel the range trade now if you're trading cash, especially. How do you cancel a trade? You can uncheck the check. You could uncheck the check in the enabled box, or you could do it on your chart. The most reliable way to do it is in the box. Okay? This should be canceled. This trade should be canceled. Now, we're going to wait for a news result. And then we'll make a decision to take a trade one way or the other or to sit. Personally, I do prefer to have a forecast. Just looking at a 15-minute oil chart. You look at oil now, right? And it's not that bearish because it's close to where it was at the 6 p.m. open, but it was pretty bearish since 2 p.m. Okay, it was opened near the highs, it looks like, and then it got pretty bearish today. So I would not call oil bullish today. I would say it's more bearish than anything. So I'd like to see a big build, like a 6 million build, and then I would take a short. If there's a big drawdown, I'll consider a drawdown, but it's probably got to be 4 million. 5 million, somewhere in there. I won't take a real tiny one. Hi, Chantal. How are you? I'm streaming. So I needed to ask you something, but it's too late now. It's a little bit late. So no forecast. Oil. I'd say it's bearish on the day because it dropped and dropped and dropped from hours ago. It's not bullish, I don't think. But if you just look at the how many ticks it's moved since 6 p.m., it's not. It's only 14 ticks. That's 6 p.m. last night. But commodities are on fire. Lots of commodities, except for natural gas. I haven't watched natural gas this week yet. So we're waiting for that news to come out to see if we might have a trade after the news. It really was dull. It didn't fill. It hasn't moved hardly at all since 4:30. Because look, that candle is what? 29. It's only a 5 tick candle. It's really tiny. So we're patiently waiting to see what the news is. At times, this after the news trade works. It often works, especially when you have levels that act as a magnet. Maybe the VWAP could be an upside magnet, but it's only 9 ticks, not that far away. But this time of day, 9 ticks is almost a significant move. I don't believe it's going to have any possibility of getting to the low. And it would be surprising if it got to the 6 p.m. open, which is at 65. That's like 26 ticks away. That's possible. More than making a new low. Price is moving up a little bit. Does the market know something we don't know? I don't think so. The all-knowing market. All right, so we're just being patient. We have a job to do. Our job is to wait for the news and then try to analyze it. You could see the market's really quiet. And you could sort of see why I didn't want to enter into that range trade, because Not a whole heck of a lot going on with it. Starting to get a little push to the upside. Maybe there is a drawdown of some size. Still waiting. Boy, it's quiet. I don't know why. I was just thinking about carpal tunnel syndrome and how I don't believe that that it's real. I think carpal tunnel syndrome is fake. Probably get a lot of people mad at me for saying that. No data? Oh, you rushed to come back, Chantal, and there's no data today? There's no forecast? But that doesn't stop you from trading. I prefer data. See that webcam is so intelligent? It tracks me. It likes me. It's so intelligent. Unless I get up, if I get up, it loses all control and never finds you again. It's really a pain in the neck. And you can't move it. I can't fiddle it. It's like you have to reset it. The beauties of technology. 4.09 million on the build. 4.09 on the build. Price has been pushing up. I'm not interested, I don't think, in taking a short. Now, that's the only direction I would go. If you're going to do anything, you would take a short. There are other numbers that have an effect on this news. And I'm waiting to see them get printed. It will print here. So far, we've had one tick of movement to the downside. You have a squeeze that's uppish, but it is a 1 minute squeeze. It should be a 30-second. With just the way that everything is moving, I'm just not that interested today. There's just no interest whatsoever in this market. I'm going to just watch it. So at 33 would be our entry, around 33 or 32. That will stop you today, Chantal? No news? How come? It didn't before. So now it's two ticks down. Oh, I see what you're saying. Did you take a short? Where'd you get in? 33. So what's for dinner, everyone? What's everyone having for dinner if you're in the US? I'm going to have pasta for the 7th night in a row. I could eat pasta every single night. There's just so little movement today. But it looks like maybe the market, you see how it is like very subtly responding to that build? So it was a build of 4 million. Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Oh no, 4.09. Yep, 4.09. There was also a slight drawdown on the distillates. That's like benzene and what's that fuel that people you heat in your RV, put in your barbecue. It looks like it's going to push down a little maybe. Propane. Nope, went up. Propane. Pasta every night. It's healthy. Carbs are good. Potatoes are carbs. I was going to go on a potato diet. Sushi. I like that. Sushi's good. I like sushi. I like not sushi. What's it called? Chicken teriyaki. I'm really in the mood for some chicken teriyaki. Just on white rice. No brown rice tonight. White rice. Derek, I didn't realize you were in Canada also. Chantal's in Canada. We have quite a few Canadian folks. She's near Montreal. Not super near, but more, I think, Quebec area. Communist Canada, I call it. Communist Canada. Just not much going on here, folks. I mean, if you got in at 33, it's at 32. That was my hesitation today. It just didn't seem like anything was going on. I know. You'll stay in till five of, right? Now, a couple of warnings. Um, right. Yeah. What's your target? You might get, yeah, you might get 20. Let's see what happens over the next few minutes. What time is it by you, Derek? What time is it? Are you 2 p.m.? So I want Chantal to make money. I don't need to be right about my saying that it was going to be dull. I'd much rather see the price go to 20 and she make money on the trade. 1:45 p.m. Okay. This is this movement is definitely related to the time of day to trade oil. Like I was saying before, when people think that when the oil market settles at 230, most people don't trade it much later than that. Most people get out of their positions. But it is interesting because years ago we traded this APR report, and I tell the same history because we always have new people that don't know the histories. But the history of the API report, I traded this report well before I was working at 10-minute trades. I've been trading it probably for more than 10 years. And 7 or 8 years ago, this report exploded in its price movement. It traded as significantly as the Wednesday oil report used to trade 4 years ago, where you'd get 30, 40 tick moves exactly at 430. Yeah, and I was going to warn people about margins. Thanks, Sal. I was just getting ready to say that. The brokers raise the margins right about now. So if you don't have enough money in your cash account, they can close you out of a trade because don't forget the futures markets close for an hour at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. I was also can't get the song Overnight Sensation out of my head. Strawberries. So just watching. I'm going to call it quits at 1650, you all. Just remember, at 85.33, you could have gotten in with a little bit of a short, so you could be up a little bit on the trade. It probably makes sense to trade this with full size contracts because there's just not enough movement to make money on micros on this event. Yeah. So if you're going, especially if you have a prop account and you can trade this time of day, we'd recommend a couple of contracts at least. It's not going to blow up your account. You're not going to get a whipsaw. I mean, anything could happen, but it's so rare. And we do see enough times where you will get a little bit of profit. Because look, now you have 5 or 6 ticks. So if you trade that with two full size, it's $100 and something. It makes it worthwhile. Just watching for one more minute. So Eric Carmen was the lead singer of the Strawberries. He passed away the same day that Carl Wallinger passed away about a month ago. I was thinking a lot about the Strawberries and Eric Carmen. I don't think he ever got the respect he deserved. He wrote quite a few hits, All by Myself. Overnight Sensation was really big. The Strawberries had a whole bunch of hits. He had a guitar riff that is iconic. Bum bum bum, da 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 da, bum bum bum, da da da. I mean, he wrote that guitar riff. He did not get the respect he deserved, I don't think. Anyway, so folks, no reason for us to sit and watch. We taught you how to trade this trade. We'll do it again next week. Next week, I'll trade it live because it did what I thought it would do on the range. It was an anti-probability trade, and it did not, it was dull. It was not a winner. So I'll take the range next week. I'd rather wait for a couple of dulls because it usually takes a few before it starts winning again. But it's a good time to start. And we will be back tomorrow. I think, let's check the schedule real quick. I think we start, 10 o'clock for crude oil. So we'll be back at 10 for crude. We got the bond auctions. There's always something going on here. Okay, everyone. So have a good evening. I'll see everybody tomorrow at 10 o'clock for the crude oil report. Have a great day and a nice evening. I'll see you all tomorrow. And thanks everybody on YouTube for watching. Really appreciate it. Someone's having steak. All right, sounds good. See you later, everyone.